Starting 2020, we need to wear masks and avoid handshake. Why? This is all because of COVID-19. What is COVID-19? Hi, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Saofie bin Azman Shah, matrix number 1202303. The COVID-19 pandemic has evolved into a health and socio-economic crisis by spreading and affecting billions of people in the world. Coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 can be defined as a disease caused by a new severe type of coronavirus, which is now called severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, SARS-CoV-2. It was discovered for the first time in a case of respiratory disease which broke out in Wuhan, Hubei province in China. It was originally reported to the World Health Organization (WHO) on December 31, 2019. In January, there were 118,000 confirmed coronavirus cases in 110 countries. China was the first country to have a widespread outbreak, following countries South Korea, Iran, and Italy in February. The virus was very quick and spread across all continents and 177 nations, including Malaysia. On March 11, 2020, WHO has declared that COVID-19 was a global pandemic, indicating significant global spread of an infectious disease. Early on May 2020, it has reached over 3.5 million cases with almost 250,000 deaths worldwide. It is one of the worst disasters ever experienced in modern world history. It has impacted social relationships and formed a new normal to the whole world. This epidemic does not only affect in terms of health, but also include the international economy and politics. The economic condition in the most countries are very dreadful because of restriction and border imposed. There are a few major negative effects to the economic growth, such as unemployment increase, fall in demand, supply shortage, and international trade disrupted. COVID-19 has forced firms and business to shut down, causing unprecedented disruption in business sectors. Companies and retailers facing a short-term difficulties such as health and safety, workforce, supply and demand change, cash flows, profit and marketing. Overcoming these difficulties does not ensure a bright future. Why? Because we will be forced into a world that is totally different. So, the research is purposely to discover the effects of COVID-19 towards economic growth and provide solutions on how to survive in facing the economic downturn. The research objective is to identify in depth the effects of COVID-19 on the economic growth. Secondly, to examine the specific factors that influence economic downturn during COVID-19. And thirdly, to recommend solutions to the problems of economic growth during COVID-19. Now, let's move on to the discussion of the research questions. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has so far claimed over 31,809 Malaysian lives and over 2.81 million total cases. The outbreak of COVID-19 has proven to be a worldwide unprecedented disaster. This epidemic had a very bad effect in the term of health and even more impact on the economic growth. First and foremost, one of the COVID-19 effect on the economic growth is unemployment increase. People will not be able to go to their workplace as they need to be quarantined at home, as the government had established the movement control order to avoid this disease easily spread among the people itself at their surroundings. If the case of the COVID-19 keep increasing and there is no exceptional government action to address employment problems, more individuals will lose their jobs and profits. Secondly, firms lay off their employees is the most popular management tool to cut costs and restructure the organization. One of the main reasons for layoffs is the company's decision to cut costs in some way. The company may not be able to earn enough profits to cover its expenses, or because it needs a large amount of additional cash to repay debt. In addition to being hit hard by the economic impact of COVID-19, low-income adults are less likely to bear with financial shocks than higher-income adults. The economic implication of stay-at-home order and precautionary quarantine impact households at all income levels. Even if there is no unemployment due to the economic impact of this pandemic, many workers have to reduce their working hours or reduce wages. Moreover, many adults who do not have emergency accounts will have a hard time obtaining funds to pay basic expenses if they lost their jobs. Those who have been fired or cut due to the coronavirus outbreak worry about paying bills and these financial issues almost daily or more often. In short, COVID-19 pandemic creates a situation where economy is in a recession state, and it is not a joke because we can see how serious it was affecting our lives.
What are the factors causing economic downturn during pandemic COVID-19? First and foremost, the shortage of supply will make prices of food increase in most nations that are affected by the pandemic and disrupt the international food supply chain. This happened due to people requested more products after pandemic, causing huge sea traffic at US and European ports. Empty containers become scarce and need to take weeks or more to find new ones. Truly shipping affirmed that average transporting a 40 feet steel box of cargo by sea near $9,300, increased 170% from last year, while ordinary container is utilized around 20% more time in transit than time before pandemic. On the other hand, the same goes to services like hotels, restaurants, and cinemas, while facing the lack of demand because of movement control order established by the government. With the order, people could not go out, causing some restaurants and cinemas could not able to operate. Even if restaurants and theaters operate, they will only incur losses. In other words, most business that offers those services to the public could no longer serve the community directly because they fear of this pandemic. Besides that, drop prices of goods are also one of the things that affects the economic growth due to export and import in the global market could not operate as before. Almost all countries have temporarily stopped demanding goods such as food and oil demand. DMIT write in their article, the downward impact on food demand and export prices began in January and accelerated as countries closed business and kept people home, meaning that the reduction in demand for food makes the price to fall rapidly than the normal prices. In other words, the world demand for food, especially import meat, have a shocking decreased price. Looking at the country perspective, the disrupt in international businesses has a huge impact on the country's economy during the pandemic. Many countries use an open economic system that allows them to exchange the export and import of the goods and services. This pandemic creates a situation in which the export and imports need to be limited by the government for securing public health. The reason behind this fall is many countries start to limit movement, like travel bans and border closures, and also set a restriction in trading to one another. So what are the solutions to the problems of economic downturn during pandemic COVID-19? For struggling industries like hotel and restaurants, there are some recommendations for them to survive during COVID-19. Firstly, business need to increase non-room revenues and establish new and fresh business operation. There are some research in a boutique hotel chain in Chiang Mai, Thailand, that adapt their own business model during the pandemic. They are concentrated on a few actions like starting a food delivery branches in February. Other than that, they also promote cleaning services for homes by using housekeeping staff who have leisure time to make additional income. In addition, the hotels could become a part of a group of business that put furniture, materials, and hotel supplies on sale. Secondly, hotels should execute the staff training during the pandemic. Pre-COVID, there was an absolute fixate towards day-to-day operation. Approximately 20% of hotel staff are trained with a specific focus on reskilling and upskilling. This method was important as they need to adapt the operation for the new normal. From government perspective, we will take a look at China initiative to revive their economy during pandemic. China handling economy by gradually transforming their digital platform. Although there is some challenges and problems in executing the up-to-date digital economy, at first companies still have insufficiency on knowledge and skills about new digital technology. In addition, China also had insufficient of advanced technology supply. The creation of a new digital foundation can help China's economy upgrade and transform. Last but not least, there are some solutions for individuals and households manage their spending efficiently during the pandemic. They need to examine their debit accounts to avoid useless spending, spend necessities wisely at the supermarket, and lastly, they need to make a separate money for the emergency purpose by discover the new extra funds. In a nutshell, pandemic COVID-19 creates a situation where economy is in bad condition, a rise in employment rate caused by the government small control order that does not allow firms to operate can lead the firms to unemploy their workers during the time for recovery of loss. The low market demand as people reduce buying goods and services to save their income for things that are more essential and important, such as necessity goods. Supply for food and medical equipment are in shortage as the world need more medical supplies to treat the COVID-19 patients. For international trade, the declining of exports is decreasing the national income, and international industries face financial crisis as they could not recover from their loss. Other than that, even though pandemic COVID-19 left a huge impact on economic downturn, there is still ways to develop the business and economy as a whole during the quarantine period. Business could become creative and taking risks to operate business with using digital technology more frequently. While for individuals and households, every single penny are essential, so planning financial income and expenses is a must.